Hi global entrepreneurs, welcome to BGI's YouTube channel. We've had quite an interesting couple of months interviewing key stakeholders in the Portuguese startup ecosystem. We've interviewed investors to startup founders to policymakers. Our goal is to shine some light on the innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem in Portugal. We hope you enjoy this episode. So thank you, Tiago, for giving us this opportunity to speak with you. I mean, we've heard a lot about the work that Everis is doing in Portugal, especially supporting innovation. I think it's fair enough to allow you to give us an introduction of Everis, what you do, and how you do the things that you do.
Okay. So good morning, and thank you. I would like to start by thanking you for the invite and to let me introduce a bit of what Everis is doing. So my name is Tiago Santos. I'm currently a manager for the insurance practice. Okay, so I'm the internal person that is responsible for scanning regarding the insurance sectors, and I'm also involved in some other projects. But just to give you an overview, so for the ones that are hearing the name Everis for the first time, so Everis is a consulting company. We belong to EIT Data, which is one of the major IT companies in the world, and we are in 17 countries with more than 25,000 colleagues. In Portugal, we are here for 20 years, and we are now more than 1,000, separated between our main office and a nearshore center for software development, which is Everis High Performance Center. Okay. Regarding innovation, Everis, as a tradition and based on our culture and values, we always like to do things differently. Attitude is one of the major topics for us. So bring the attitude to any kind of problem, and that's why we have been present in some different settings regarding innovation. So I think the first one that we can talk about is LinkUp, which is an internal program which tries to identify how can we create an offer with the startup. Okay. So we will try to bring with them after a proper scanning and to talk with them and understand, okay, are we able to work together or aren't we able to work together? In a very frank conversation, it's not every time it's not possible, but sometimes it is. So we have started those kind of conversations since 2017. And what we are trying also to do is to tap on Lisbon ecosystem, which is also has been progressing along the years, and that is one part of our innovation offering. The second one is try to understand what is new, and based on what is new, we have a digital room. Of course, in this particular context, a digital room will need to be changed for a different technology. We cannot have people visiting the office nowadays.
Yeah.
But what we try to do in that specific room is, okay, so what are the specific trends that are impacting our businesses and multiple industries, and we try to build solutions with startups or just inside development. Okay, and what we try is to bring our usual clients, traditional clients, to go through the digital room and understand, okay, does this make sense for you? Does it not? Regarding this use case, are you seeing more to the left, more to the right? What do you need this in terms of implementation? What is missing? So to have those kind of conversations, also to understand if it's a startup solution, are they going the right way? Getting proper feedback. If it's ours, it's the same. Another way that we try to position ourselves is also regarding partnerships with universities, and for that we have a unit which is called Ideals, and what they try to do is to understand what kind of R&D projects that are now being done by PhDs in universities. How can we take them to market? Okay. And there is one specifically with the Instituto Superior Técnico here in Portugal.
Yeah.
Already on the 6th edition, which is called Lab to Market. And what we have is a multi-week program with PhDs and all of the internal teams from the university, and our unit, which is Ideals, which also belongs to the Everis group, comes to work. And also we in Portugal, we try to help in some connections with some clients, again gathering feedback, trying to strict the funnel so that success can happen in those projects. Of course, in this case, we are looking at projects that normally take more years to start, because they are technological very advanced, and so even the technology has to mature to come to market, right? I think there are two other things that we do, and it's regarding awards. Okay, so instead of collaborating directly, we have two different awards. One that is specifically for entrepreneurship and has very target focused, and every year it has different topics. And for example, this year you can still apply until the 21st of June. Okay. And it's around new business models in the digital economy, biotech and health, and specific vertical technologies that you think that are very innovative. And also, as I said, we belong to EIT Data, and they also have their open innovation contest. So they also have an annual award that you can apply and try to work with EIT Data, which is our owners.
How do you think more beyond corporates being transparent, obviously, which is a fundamental basis for building relationships with startups and innovation? What other things do you think corporates or consulting firms like Everis can do to better support innovation? Maybe you can use Portugal as a case study. What do you think your colleagues in the consulting firms can do better beyond, because you've mentioned transparency as a key thing, but beyond transparency, are there any other things that you think your organizations can do to make to help support innovation?
So I think then, besides transparency, I think there is one key thing for our side. So you have to have people that have time allocated for this. Okay, so there is no point on us publishing I don't know how many press releases, doing I don't know how many events, and then you ask who is the person responsible to have this conversation with the startups, and you have zero. Okay, so it doesn't mean that you have to be full-time. I'm not full-time on that task, okay? But I have a part of my time that is allocated to have those conversations. And it's my responsibility to have those conversations, to do the scanning, and to report on what has been happening. Are we progressing or not? What is the feedback that we have been getting? So I think so, transparency and time. And if someone tells you that they don't have the time, they will not take it through, because it's impossible. We have a lot of things to do. I think everyone in each one tasks and in the professional life. So you have to have time allocated for this. And then again, it doesn't need to be full-time. It doesn't need to be a whole team. It doesn't need to be a whole department. But you have to have time. It cannot be out of your effort. It cannot be out of the events or any kind of marketing that is not consistent.
And that is very interesting. And I like how honest you are about that. The fact that there needs to be people responsible who take ownership of this kind of things, or else, I mean, startups and corporates wouldn't be able to collaborate. Now, speaking and in that sense, and I think that is one way corporates and clients like and corporates like Everis and consulting firms like Everis can support innovation. Now, on the other hand, taken from say from the government's perspective or from the environmental perspective, what do you think can be done to encourage more consulting firms to work with startups? Because now we've been having the conversation of what corporates need to do to work with startups. What can be done, like in the economy or I don't know, in the ecosystem, to support consulting firms or corporates to incentivize them to work with innovation more? Are there any things that can be done now?
Yes. So I think that I think that the government is doing a very good job in this case. So we have a very different ecosystem now from what we had some years ago, very, very different. And I think the Web Summit is the event that culminates all of this, but it's not, I don't think it's representative of the local ecosystem. You have a lot of incubators, you have a lot of events, you have a lot of meetups that happen in the city during all the year, and that gives the vibrance to the ecosystem. It's not an event on a specific date. Of course, it's important and it's a flagship, but I think we are now in a stage where we are mature enough that we have a continuous stream of events. If we want to talk about blockchain, if we want to talk about machine learning, we have places to go, okay? And if we want to target specific industries, I think the FinTech House, which is a recent development, is a very good example. So if you want to target a specific industry, you have a place to go. And I think if we want to look next steps, I think so. The first one is based on our current context. So we need to be aware that we will need to support startups in this particular context, and that we need somehow to subsidize them through this pandemic. Okay, and I think there is no way around it. We cannot block any subsidies based on revenue. Startups, by their fundamentals, they don't have enough revenue. Otherwise, they would be in another stage, right? So we need to be very careful and try to adapt our regulation in this specific context. Okay? And the second is, I think it's the feeling that being agile is very different from being flexible, and by not having a strategy. So we still need to have a strategy, although we are agile. Okay, I think that is a very important message, and we have been progressing, and I think then again, FinTech House is a very good example that this can be a cluster around financial services. So we need to understand what are the other clusters. Is it tourism? Maybe if there is another second wave of pandemic, it cannot be tourism. So what is the other cluster that we need to develop and not just spread around? Of course, there can be a lot of ideas that can be brought together by this, but I think we have to start to think in clusters and to start to think, where are we going to focus? So of course we need to be agile. Of course we'll need to fund multiple startups, and 1, 2, 3 will succeed. But I think we need to go into a mature place where these are 3, 4 priorities for the country. These are the 3, 4 priorities for the city even. I think we can already see multiple cities having incubators, and I think it's a very good sign that it's just not Lisbon. A lot of tech companies going to Porto to put their offices. So we have been having very good signs. I think the next word is focus.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask you the last question, and I usually ask this question for all the interviewers that I ask. So I usually ask, because we all know that there's like a buzz in Portugal. I always like to know what the interviewee has opinion is regarding this, and there's a lot of hype about the Portuguese startup ecosystem right now. So I want to know, is this overly optimistic or is it realistic?
Yeah, so I think we can start with the word, right? And I think being very, very frank again, buzz is telling us that the perception is higher than reality. Okay, and I think with that, it's a very simple way. Nature tells us this. Okay, it doesn't mean that we are not going to do the right things, and I think we are doing the right things. Okay, and then again, I think FinTech House is a very good example. The 200 million fund is a very good example. So we have I'm just picking the major ones. Of course, there are a lot of little ones, and the sum of little ones also help a lot. Okay? And as I was saying, so a lot of these small meetups can have some compounding on the knowledge that we create, on the interactions that we create as an ecosystem. So it's not just the major things that we announce that are important, also the little things. But I think we are going on the right way. I think we are looking for more mature founders. But then again, I think the Web Summit pushes the buzz on top. Okay.
Yes.
Then we need to go back and understand what is real and pragmatic around us, and what are we able to do, and what are we able to deliver. I think the transfer of offices for some major players to Lisbon, I think it also helps a lot. So a bit of nearshore centers, I think it also helps a lot, but not because of the specific startup capabilities, but I think because it brings money to Portugal and brings Portugal to the map, okay? And that helps. And that helps a lot on this kind of conversation. So saying Lisbon is not that hard as was saying it was 2 years ago, because some years ago it was Berlin. So I think we are in a way better position that we were 2 years ago. Of course, we need to be very pragmatic, and then again going to the same topic. So being frank, are we able to do this? Are we not able to do this? Because if we are saying that we are able when we are not able, we are just fooling ourselves. We are just putting extra money and extra time wasted on something that we knew that was not going to work. So probably we need to focus on something different. Okay? And again, and I think just to finish on this, every startup doesn't need to be a highly differentiated offering. Okay, when you need to open the door, the tool that you use to open the door, it still needs to be sold. Okay, so there is still a use case for that, of course, with a different approach, but it doesn't need to be the smartest thing in the world with a lot of PhDs. So I think those classical ideas around innovation, they are not right. It's just doing it differently at a lower cost. Are we able to charge more? Are we able to change the ways of working of this industry? Yes, okay. There is no need for 50 patents or something like that.
Sometimes that might not always be the right path to innovation success. So I've got to ask you right now, so how do startups, so a startup might be watching this interview right now and they're thinking, oh, I would like to work with Everis. I like what they did in Everis. How did they reach out to you?
Yeah, so I think that my name is written here since this is a Zoom, right? So I think everyone can contact me. I don't know how you share the.
We'll put it on. Obviously we'll put the link to the website on social media, etc. But what I was thinking is there like they can just send you like a LinkedIn, or you can just go to your website and find your contact there. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So they can contact me directly. That's not a problem. Okay. We are still not having that problem. And around the ecosystem, so we are not yet in that phase where there are a lot of requests. Okay, we are still to do some kind of personalized assistance.
Okay,
try to keep it as that way, so they can contact us directly, they can search by my name, they can reach me. I'm more than available to have the discussions they want to have, even if it's not working for average, even if it's for having some kind of conversations, these frank conversations. So feel free to contact me or Everis in the best way you think.
Yeah. Great. Hi everyone, I hope you really enjoyed that video. If you want to know more about Portuguese startup ecosystem as well as the top promising scale-ups in Portugal, make sure you go to our website at www.scaleupportugal.tech and download all our reports that we've written for the ecosystem. So if you just want to find out about what other activities we do regarding the ecosystem, how we accelerate startups here in Portugal, also make sure you go to www.bgi.pt and send us an email and we'll get back to you. Thank you.